And welcome everybody to qualifying for the Miami Grand Prix here at the Miami International Autodrome. We're live from Miami Gardens, Florida on this cloudy day. It is time for the first and only qualifying session, 18 minutes to who will get the fastest lap time. We see Pascal on his ACRL return. He hasn't been present since the Brazilian Grand Prix last season. And the Aston Martin driver comes out of the pit lane into a very narrow funnel of corners to start the lap here in Miami. And it is a tough track here. Lots of long straights, lots of dependence on engine power, but lots of dependence on just about everything in the car. Lots of long straights too, lots of medium to high speed sweepers, as we see Pascal just end the high speed sweepers onto the first of the back straights. And we've got one of the most dreaded sections on the entire circuit. A very tight section after this backstretch separating the two longest flat out sections of the circuit. Here it is, turn 11, it's down to third gear, about 100 kilometers an hour, and then it's about 105 for turn 12, again in third gear, 4th to 13, and then right down to 2nd to 14, 80 kilometers an hour, 85 to 15 in third, and this section ends with a very slow turn 16 at about 75 kph in 2nd gear, and you just get slingshot out onto the colossal back straight as we see multiple drivers are on laps. Pab Gems, Blake Stevenson, Dorshui, Ekem, Pascal Garando in the AlphaTauri, Sneaky, and King J in the Alfa Romeo. As we see, we're right on board with Pascal. He is the high-profile returnee here in Miami. And we'll right on board. Into turn 1, down to 3rd gear. A lock-up on the way in, a lot of curb there. The funnels out in a very challenging section as the Alpine ahead of Apollo Pepsi gets a little bit in his way, but that doesn't interrupt him much as he heads down into the super fast section of turn 4. Left, right, and then it's a long left-hander here. The front right tire, very much out here, out for a workout. And that's the end of the quick sections of this Miami Grand Prix circuit as he heads down into turn 11, the biggest braking zone and the chief passing opportunity. It's right down to 3rd gear. In goes the car. Hopefully he's not going to rotate it very well, but there's a lot of time to find here. 12, 13, and then through 14, the dreaded chicane. Lots of curb again, and then the final corner of this twisty section ends with a very long run down the back straight. As we see, passing under the highways on the Florida Turnpike, he heads down into the final corner. The final proper corner, I should say, turn number 17. It's right down to 2nd gear for this one. It's a very tight hairpin. And the lap ends with 2 flat-out kinks as Pat Jim's in the Alfa Romeo, a 1:31.3. Pascal goes over a second faster, 1:30.1. And Blake Stevenson in the Haas, who could either be my reserve or Destiel's reserve. For anyone new, I am banned for this race, so I've decided to commentate it. Let's see, the Haas driver. Blake here, wanting that Mercedes. King J, 1:28.5. As Blake heads through the very tight chicane of 14 and 15. It's so clunky. Ekem, a 1:27.2. That's by far and away the quickest of the session. As we see lots of lapped cars, lots of space. Given that's a little bit wider from Mr. Blake, but he doesn't need to worry too much. It's only really the first runs in first qualifying. He goes second fastest with the 1:28.0. We see Dorshui here, the Ferrari driver. Up the line, he goes into second place at 1:27.9. And we'll see Formula Cringe, the Red Bull driver, as he gets... dives out of the way for him in a very weird spot there. And it's a purple to the middle sector for Formula Cringe. He's got one more corner after this. Can he beat Ekem's time? or even get close to it. Into the final corners, exiting 17. As Zico and Apollo Pepsi go 4th and 5th fastest. Here we go. This will be the moment of truth. It will be into the 1 minute 26s. Silver Arrow in the Williams goes 4th at 128.074 to the grid. Very much split up a little bit. You've got Formula Cringe and Eckham, by far and away the quickest. Dorsey, Silver, Blake. Then a Zico, Apollo, and King J, and then the back. Grid Jerks goes 9th with 128.7. You got Sneaky, Garando, Pascal, and the Alfa Romeo, Pap Jooms at the back of the field. So it's a very separated grid and a lot of multi-class racing of sorts. Silver Arrow seems to have invalidated his ending running to 8 tenths down. Stay on board with combined YouTuber leaving his run late as usual. Let's see here, what time will he get on the board as he heads through that first sector? Lots of curb on the exit. It's a 29.8. That's the fastest first sector of the day. As he heads down into turn number 11. Long straight. Let's see what the top speed is. 339 kilometers an hour for a split second. Down into 11. Down to about 100. And then it's just hugging the inside wall through the beach club of turn 12. 13. And then you go up the chicane. That is. And by turn, there's absolutely no curb there. And as now, it's the exit. We're going underneath the Florida Turnpike. For the time being. And up to the line goes combined YouTuber. He goes 4th fastest, ahead of his teammate Silver Arrow, so maybe it could be a shift in the top spots. Pascal again on his second flying lap here. Let's stay on board with him another time. It's his second run as Crush in the Mercedes goes 3rd. Half a second of Formula Cringe, who is absolutely running away with it into the 1 minute 26. I don't think he will need a run right now, provided Eckham doesn't beat him. But let's see. Through the first through the first pile of corners, through the Miami Marina, and then out onto the back straight. What is his first sector? A 30.4. That is nearly 9 tenths of a second quicker than on his last one. So there's a lot of time to find for Pascal here, and he knows this. And this upcoming section is where a lot of the lap time resides. Into turn 11, 340, down to 100. It is very tight on the way in. And then it's wide on the way in, and then dramatically narrows through the Beach Club corner, and then 13 into the dreadful chicane. Lots of curb, and then it's time for turn 16, and that wraps up one of the worst complexes of corners on the calendar. 8 tenths up once again for the Aston Martin driver, firing it out onto the back straight, the second back straight, into the hairpin of turn 17. Right down to 2nd. And then 3rd, 4th, 5th. As acceleration through turn 18 is pretty easy on this year's game. Up to the line. That's 12th. 128.9. Much closer to the field. Grand at the Alpha Tauri. What can the Belgian driver do here? Maybe K is on a run, but might just be held up by people going a little bit slow. Grid Jokes, for one, needs an improvement here. Badly. He's down in 11th. His teammate, 1.2 seconds quicker up in 3rd. And it has been a decent start of the season for Grid Jokes, I should say, but it hasn't been as good as last season's. 2 podiums in the first 5 rounds isn't bad. It's not a bad start, and he should keep it up. Let's see what happens as he heads through the first couple of corners. A little bit of a tiny confidence lift of turn 3. That just shows maybe he's not fully used to the circuit here. Low grip. 7th gear through 4, 6th through 5, and then it's holding on the accelerator for as long as possible for 7 before the speed comes off for 8. Long acceleration done. 2/10 up. He'll need a lot more to up to where he should be in the top 7. Into turn 11. Lots of track on the way, and it's very wide here. And then it tightens up dramatically. The walls start looming in for turn 12. Then it's flat on. It's lots of throttle, and then lots of curb for 14 and 15. And then it is a smooth, clean ride out of 15 to get the best run onto the back straight. 0.6 of a second in the middle sector. And this final sector demands a lot of braking response. Let's see what the Mercedes driver has to do here. Azeka goes 7th fastest. A second off of Formula Cringe. As now it's time for the last corner up to the line. It is a 1:27.8. That's up to 4th. That is a time he needs. That's the sort of time he needs, but there are people that could well beat it. Such as Silverara here. 0.3 up. He could easily get up there. But from Grid Jokes all the way down to Blake Stevenson in the Haas, it is a very close grid here in Miami. It is 6 people within 0.2 of a, within less than 0.2. Up to the line goes Silverara. He goes up to 4th, splitting the Mercedes duo. That is enough. And he's had enough of the marks being 3-4. It's an Apollo Pepsi in the Alpine. Where does that come from? That is a great lap. That's up to P4. Hats off. Which is Zico, but he's half a second down and he's not on a lap, which means he's gonna pit. Let's see, Akam is not on the lap either, and he's still not beating Formula Cringe. So Formula Cringe knows here he is not as safe as before, but he's still on pole by a solid amount of time. Got just over 4 minutes in qualifying for the Miami Grand Prix. And it'll be an interesting race. We've got the field split up, but there are some unlikely candidates out there. Paul Pepsi in P4 is a strong performance from him. Same with King J in P8. And combining to a little bit further down than normal. So is Blake down in 11th place. That's not where he needs to be. Nowhere driver of his place should be. Ekam is out of fuel in the pit lane. At least the pit box is right there so he can refuel. Maybe on with Dorschby here through the first 3 corners, almost on full throttle. A little bit of a confidence lift, like his compatriot Grid Jokes. Gets to turn 4, tiny lift on the way in, dab of the brakes for 5, and then holding as much throttle and as much grip as possible through 6, or tightens into 7 and then 8 onto the back straight. 0.4 up in the opening sector of the lap here, and this next one is where a lot of lap time resides. Let's see what's going to be going on. Into turn 11. Bit more downforce than before. Down to 3rd gear. Tips it in. And then the walls loom in. Up into 4th gear. That's a bit interesting. And then right down to 3rd. Garanda retires from the session. And it's third, fourth, third, and a little bit of an uncharacteristic gearing. 8 tenths up though for Dorshui. This could be a lap that could get him onto the second row of the grid, and we've seen his qualifying before. One-time race winner and multiple pole positions over the course of his time here at ACRL. And up to the line he goes. What will this be? That's up to third. Only 2 tenths of Formula Cringe. Right on board with the big man. He was on pole for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, but will he be on pole here again? It is the same type of circuit here in Miami, but a little bit slower. I should say a lot slower, more tight corners. So even though they're roughly the same semi-permanent type of circuit, permanent track with the walls a bit closer, it's still a different beast to what Jeddah has to offer with its high-speed corners and long straightaways. This one is quite balanced the whole way through. See what Crush has to do here. Second lap of the day. And he's 7 tenths up. That's going to be an easy pole, it seems, for the Mercedes driver. See, up to the final straight. Will he finally be on pole? 2 cars on the way. One of them being his teammate, who's just about to start his final run. So what about Formula Cringe? He is 2 tenths up in the first sector. Crush here, up to the line. He goes on to provisional pole. A 1:26.844. Formula Cringe. There's ABK retires as well. Not the best of qualifying for him. Formula Cringe here. It could be pole. Crush has been disqualified, which again throws him out of pole position. Lots of sliding for Formula Cringe as he goes back up to provisional pole. He's 2.5 tenths up in the middle sector. Will this be the lap that gets him up there? You can't in the Alpha. But what about Ekim? Ekim is down in the first sector. Zico is up to 7th. And Formula Cringe improves to a 1:26.808. That's straight up the pole. And Ekim doesn't seem to improve with that line. And let's see, he is 1.5 up, interestingly. Lots of sliding, though. Blake Stevenson in the Haas is up into 5th. Paulo Pepsi is 3 tenths up. He could be a candidate for a shock second row start here. He's 2 tenths up. It could still happen. It could still take place. Great jokes. And the Mercedes goes P4. Blake here. YouTubers in 7th. The Paul Pepsi up to the line. He goes. Let's see. That is up into 4th. That's nearly a P3 for him. That's an amazing qualifying. And Blake Stevenson is in 6th. Is in 6th place. And he's going to end his lap in a pit of despair. That's down P6. And definitely not the best of laps for him. And then a solid driver, Blake. Lots of stronger top 6, top 7 performances. Can he break the duck and maybe get a podium? But your running order for the start of the Miami Grand Prix is as such. Formula Cringe on pole with a 1:26.807. Ekim in P2 a 1:26.863. Dorshui a 1:27.1. Apollo Pepsi a 1:27.2. That's nearly P3 there. Silver Arrow in the 1 minute 27.3s. Blake Stevenson only about half, 400s off. Gridjokes very closely behind. Combined YouTube with the 1 minute 27.5 dead. King J in P9. Zico, ABK, Pascal, Sneaky, Garando, and Papjums. Round out your order, and Crush, who would have started P2, was disqualified for going in the wrong way. As we have sunny skies. Have sunny skies here in the Sunshine State. 29 laps of high-speed racing. Who will take the checkered flag? It's been Lights, it's been Destial. Neither of them are here today. Who will be the man winning the Miami Grand Prix? Will be a third different winner in 3 seasons here around here. And this track has provided us with some decent racing, lots of chaos, but today, as we have 5 lights, and away we go for the Miami Grand Prix. And I think it might just be a good start from Formula Cringe as he heads into turn 1. Eckham dives him up the inside on those mediums. Formula Cringe holds ground in P3. Silver Arrow gets past Blake. Combined YouTuber and Gridrix fighting as Crush gets past Papjums and Pascal into the first 3 corners. Right now, Formula Cringe and Eckham are side by side. Formula Cringe, though, goes out into the runoff and into the marbles. He's side by side with Dorshui, and this is not a part of the circuit you can go side by side at, and Formula Cringe takes the mature line. He has 2 long straights, lots of slipstream. Eckham leads the Miami Grand Prix from Dorshui and Formula Cringe. Apollo Pepsi is on the charge here. He got a podium in the circuit in season number 5. Will he get one again? He's down the outside of turn 11. He's making it work. Does he? He's got miles off the track. And that is not the first that an Alpine is off the track in Miami. Side by side through the Marina section. Side by side through the dreaded chicane. And one of them is obviously forced to cut that. Apollo Pepsi gets an instant 3-second time penalty, which should be removed. He's giving the place back. And that was a strong fight, but unfortunately, the width of the track in this section didn't save it. End of the first lap. There's lots of chaos here. Blake Stevenson is going to be making one. Gridjokes is there as well. Apollo is down the inside through turn 17. What could Blake or Gridjokes do? They make a little bit of contact, a little bit of wheel spin. Apollo as Eckham sets fastest lap, a 1:32.4. And everybody right now is on the mediums of the hards, I think. No one has taken the gamble. Garando in the AlphaTauri starting on the softs. But lots of people on the hard tire. As we see, come on, YouTuber staying out of Gridjoke's way here into the first few corners here in Miami City. It has been a chaotic, it hasn't been the most chaotic of starts, but we'll see later. DRS should be enabled at the end of the next lap, but the toe, Apollo Pepsi will get here, down 2 massive straights. The toe, this group of cars will get here will be amazing. As we see, Blake Stevenson goes down, try to go for a move. Gridjokes is there. Lots of people are there. Silver Arrow lacking a little bit as they head through the dreaded chicane. No side-by-side this time on the opening lap. Unlike on the opening lap, no side-by-side this time. And Apollo Pepsi has stayed out of the way. Has not cut the corner anymore. As we see, Silver Arrow may just be clinging onto small hopes of DRS on the backstretch. And now into the final corner. Apollo Pepsi with a massive dive bump, and that sent him flying down the escape route, and that's down to 9th. Make that 9th for Apollo Pepsi. That's down a lot of places. That was not the right place to go. He's got past Zico, but he's going to have to make up places. A long, hard grind begins now. He's side by side with Zico. Through the first couple of corners, Zico holds it firm, doesn't let him through. And Silver Arrow is already on the back of Dorshui here. He is on the DRS. And he has got 2 very long straights to get it. Blake Stevenson seems to have just about got it on the backstretch. Does he have it? It is open in the middle of the backstretch. Silver does it. Blake does it as well. He's safely within the DRS. Grid Jokes is barely within it as well. Combined YouTuber here. Can he send it up the inside? A little bit too far back. Zico gets overtaken by Crush. Runs him a little bit wide. That's a fully fair move there. And that's up into 8th for the Mercedes driver. Eckham, 2.5 seconds of the lead for Formula Cringe. Dorshui, who just doesn't seem to be getting his DRS, and neither does Silver Arrow. But Blake Stevenson here is, but he is actually going to get it, but Blake is not going to get DRS. Will help Gridux. Combined YouTuber though has got the tow again, but he just doesn't have any ERS event. He's down about 20% battery. Not great, but he can easily recharge in the train here. Crush gets past Apollo Pepsi, who's down to 9th again. And he doesn't have... He's not going to have DRS into turn 11 on this lap, but Zico sends it up almost sends it up into turn 1, but Apollo holds a position. There's with Silver here, side by side, the 2 Titans of Season 3, running wheel to wheel. Who will take the honors of P3? I think it might be Silver on this back straight. Let's see. Into turn 11, the Williams has such a speed advantage with a drag reduction open, and that's an easy, straightforward pass there. Down the outside on the back straight, that is not something you can defend. And it is a massive train of cars. Combined YouTuber is the first one, is the next driver who Crush will get past, and it could be a bit easier there for Crush. It's his teammate right ahead of Combined, and then he's got Blake Stevenson in the Haas, and we've seen how Blake can how good Blake is. And a solid driver, always up in the top 5, top 10. Can he break that duck for a potential podium? Is now Combined YouTuber is side by side. No, he doesn't. He knows there has been an incident here. Combined YouTuber hasn't had the cleanest runs of this circuit, causing an incident in AFR. At that very corner, he just tried to go down through, but now, let's set him up on the back haul. Let's set him up for the bad. It's Crush firing it down the outside. And Grid Jokes. Now that's Crush being forced out of room a little bit, but Combined is under pressure from Apollo Pepsi. And there's a yellow flag in Sector 1. So goes Garanda on the soft. Has hit the wall out of turn 2. Doesn't seem to have a lot of damage, but it's going to be a long, hard... He does have a little bit of front wing damage, which will mean a probable stop. And a long, hard race from here on. And in this Florida summer heat, the softs turn into melted butter very quickly. Grid Jokes finally gets past Blake Stevenson on the run into turn 11. But that doesn't spell good news for the backstretch for Grid Jokes. Provided Blake can stay within a second, he is going to get DRS. And this backstraight is just as good of an overtaking opportunity as the straight before it. Let's see here. It's up into overdrive. Blake is battery. Grid Jokes, we don't know too much. And who's going to get the run? Grid Jokes doesn't have ERS. Blake's going to go to the inside for turn 17. Crush is going to do the same. And it's Grid Jokes losing 2 places. They're falling down from 5th to 7th in the span of a straightaway. And that's just how powerful DRS is. Just how brutal it is not having DRS. It's going to be another one. Grid Jokes versus Crush. But this time, neither of them have DRS. Both of them have DRS, I should say. And it's... the wait here is a little bit longer for Blake. What could Blake be doing here? Is he conserving his tires? Because he has dropped behind Dorshui, or has the tower caught up to him? Garanda finally pits at the end of lap 6. That is going to be a long all race from him. Be a long all race for him. Front wing damage. As going to need a safety car from here on to score anything. Onto the hards. Crush finally gets past Blake, but Gridjokes doesn't, interestingly. So even though we've seen Gridjokes lost 2 places, he hasn't made a single place in return yet. As we see, Blake Stevenson gets a 3-second time penalty for cutting at turn 15. It's an easy spot on the circuit to get it to cut, but let's see how many drivers could get a penalty by the end of this race. As we now see DRS open on the back of the Haas. It's a long straight here. It's a long straight away into 17. It doesn't, and he's not close enough. There is a chance at the turn 1. See how close that will be. He's about 3 tenths back. It is easy to make an overtake here, but you need to be close enough. Arguably easier than the next few tracks. Imola, Monaco, Barcelona, Montreal. A lot easier to pass here than at either of those 4 circuits. So, for next week, I hope some of the drivers are practice at qualifying, because it will be imperative on the Imola circuit for next week. We're off to the San Marino Grand Prix. Let's see, Blake Stevenson is going to get DRS once again down that back straight. And this time around, he's going to get a massive tow. Can he get close enough? Just halfway down the back stretch. Blake knows this. He doesn't try to dump everything into getting away here, because he knows very well what can happen. He could be an overtake in a 17, but we will see. Apollo Pepsi, the field itself, very spread out in this part of the circuit. It's about 7-8 tenths separating each car, so not a lot of action, not a lot of racing, which definitely isn't what the circuit can offer. It's definitely not the best we can do around here. We see Crush has DRS on Dorshui. This could get interesting here. Blake has put Gridjokes in his... Has put the Mercedes of Gridjokes in his back pocket. He's dropped off. He's barely staying in the DRS. And Blake himself has DRS. Medium tires for Crush, working very nicely, actually. Dorshui gets a little bit of a twitch out of turn 1. Out of turn 3, actually, but it's not an overtaking zone up until turn 11. Crush's going to have to wait a lot in the Ferrari's dirty air as they make their way through the marina. Again, a bit of oversteer. That is a safety car, because Sneaky... Why is there a safety car? Nothing happened, but there is a safety car on lap 8 of this Grand Prix. And every driver every single car. Gridjokes and Azeka, however, have opted to stay out on their set of hards. And Gridjokes is now going to lead the safety car. And everyone is going past the safety car. Azeka's got Gridjokes, and then they've swapped places again. And Pabdrums in the Alfa Romeo gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. See, lap 9 here in Miami Gardens. Warm day. It's always warm in this part of the world. And anyone spinning could be sentenced to a life of horror, really. Even though there are 2 straights, one of them, you're still turning for quite a bit of it. And then you've got the quick corners and the rear grip in the final part of the lap. So, this could be interesting. A 20-lap stint on medium tires to the end of the Grand Prix. And let's see, this time it's going to be a safety car, and probably at the end of this lap, which will mean about 20 laps of racing all in all. And Eckham on the hards has it pretty easy up here. But I am surprised when no one chose a soft tire today. No one really chose it, aside from Garanda, who spun. But we'll see who ends up winning and who ends up losing at the end of this 29 laps. It could mean a 20-lap stint on the mediums, or there will be another safety car near the end. Every race we've had here has had at least 2 deployments of the safety car. Will that happen again? It's the first already, which continues a 100% safety car rate around the Miami International Autodrome. But will we have a second safety car? As Garanda finally catches up to the back of the pack here. The Alfa Romeo. Gridjokes leads the field from Aziko and from Eckham. They've got a very long straight to cool everything down for Gridjokes to assume control. We might just about get the safety car in at the end of this lap, and it will be in at the end of lap 10 of the Miami Grand Prix. We'll have about 2/3 of the race still to go. As we see, weaving to get tire temperature on the front tires. It's going to be a long wait to get back up to racing speed here. The threat of a slipstream from Aziko, Eckham, or Cringe is very, very high, especially with the length of these straights. Here we go. When will Gridjokes pin it? It will probably be just out of this final corner. And he seems, and he sent it now. Aziko lets Eckham through instantly. Aziko doesn't seem to let it come through that easy, but Formula Cringe is there as well. Gridjokes leads by over half a second as Eckham gets up into P2. That's the worst case scenario for Gridjokes. And Formula Cringe is already right behind Eckham, and he's on mediums as Aziko is just getting bullied up by the pack. Aziko's getting bullied around. Eckham gets a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags, but that doesn't matter. When you're so far up the road. It's been the restart Eckham needs. And Silver Arrow is up into P3 in all this mess. Crushes P4. Crushes P6. Blake Stevenson gets past Dorshui. Apollo Pepsi here getting past Dorshui as well. Dorshui's getting bullied left, right, center. Combined almost in the barrier turn at turn 10. As they now make their way through the Marina section. It's side by side to turn 11. Usually goes well. Switches to the inside for combined. And the Wolves loom in here. And that will still be P10 for the Williams driver. We see Silver Arrow just holding everyone up. That's how slow Gridjokes is. On these sides, Gridjokes is really slow. That's just how slow these old hards are. And Gridjokes is just going to tumble down the field. I don't know what on earth he was thinking. Is he hoping on another safety car? And there's contact! There's contact! Lots of cars at the wall! It's an absolute clusterfuck in that final hairpin, and it's all matter of carnage. All matter of carnage. Lots of cars in the pits. What on earth just happened? What on earth? Lots of cars in the pit lane. It is Blake Stevenson, Gridjokes, Formula Cringe, Silver Arrow, all in the pits, all the direct drivers involved in that calamity in turn 17. What on earth was that? What on earth? What were they thinking? Eckham leads from Crush, Ezekiel, Apollo Pepsi, combined Dorsey, ABK, Sneaky on a controller is up into PA, and he hasn't been on it recently. King J and Pabjums in 10th, and Pascal in 11th in his return race. It's pretty new driver to the game still. The Austrian driver still adapting to the new game. Bought it about a week ago. Grid Jokes as a direct consequence of the contact. Blake, Garando, Formula Cringe, and Silver Hour at the back of the field, and he is on hards. So it will be a long old wait for Silver here. And we've had, in every race now, around the Miami International Autodrome, 2 deployments of the virtual, and we've had at least 2 deployments of the full safety car. This circuit is pretty chaotic, even if it is very unpopular among the drivers and the fans. Eckham leads from Crush, Ezekiel, Apollo Pepsi, combined Dorsey, ABK, Sneaky, King J, Pabjums, Pascal, Grid Jokes, Blake Stevenson, Garando, Formula Cringe, and Silver Arrow. That's your 16 drivers. No one has retired yet, surprisingly. Silver Arrow comes into the pits. Think he is going to try to get rid of these hards because he doesn't want to be on these. What will happen to the Williams driver? It has been a decent start to the season. He's the championship leader. And it's onto the mediums. Onto a fresh set of mediums for the Czech driver down at the back of the field. And he will probably catch up. Or make their way out of that horrible pit exit. Nearly up to the wall. Silver Arrow will be catching up very shortly, and he's got the freshest tires out of anyone on the grid. But it's only going to be a 1 or 2. It's going to be a 1% difference at best. So it's not going to be heavy, but it will be an interesting final half of the race. It should be in at the safety car should be in at the end of this lap, which means Eckham can do whatever he pleases to lead the field on this lap, provided the safety car does come in, which will allow racing to resume. Let's see, will we get the message from race control? And it looks like we are not actually going to get a safety car. And we are actually. Scratch that. We are getting a restart at the end of this lap. Here we go. Pack yourselves in. Get ready. This could be an all-time classic here in ACRL. We have not had a repeat winner here in Miami, and that streak looks set to continue. But who will take the checkered flag here in the Magic City for round 6? We go. We'll have 16. Let's go. Eckham taking a wide line to the final hairpin. He's going to leave it very late, actually. And he's gone. He's pinned it flat. Let's see, Paul Pepsi is already on the back of Crush here. Is already on the back of Ezekiel. Into turn 1. Side by side. Combined. Gets up the inside of Dorsey. Dorsey's going to try doing it down the outside. But Apollo Pepsi is up into 3rd. And YouTuber here is already under heavy pressure as Sneaky hits the wall of turn 3. That's damage to the Ferrari. Or is it? That doesn't look like there's a lot of damage. Last few turns. That sure looks like a lot of damage, actually. He's taking the corner. He is not taking those high-speed corners. Formula Cringe gets past Pascal, who gets a poor exit as such. And he gets overtaken by Silver. And it's going to be a long drag into turn 11 now. Loads of chaos, loads of terrorism combined. Gets past a Zico. I don't know what a Zico's doing on these tires, but it sure isn't working. I think it's been overtaken by almost everybody. Pap Jim's in the Alfa Romeo. Goes around to turn 12, and he's going to get gobbled up by everybody. That's just the nature of this race. Pascal almost runs into the back of him. And now we've got a clusterfuck at the back of the field. See, Grid Jokes is now... And there's a big train led by ABK. And then another train led by Formula Cringe, but it'll not be difficult to catch up to these guys, I think. Let's see. Ekim leads from Crush and Apollo Pepsi. Can Apollo Pepsi finally get a long and elusive first win in ACRL? Could it happen today? You got a podium here. King J is trying to defend from Grid Jokes, but he's been forced out onto the runoff area, and that's just destroyed him. Now it's gonna be Formula Cringe coming here, the pole sitter. It is going to be cut. The pressure's gonna be up exponentially on the Alfa Romeo reserve. Having the pole man ahead of you, and Formula Cringe goes up the inside of turn 8. Nothing King J could have done there. And Grid Jokes finally gets past ABK, but ABK's gonna get a long toe, which isn't great planning from Grid Jokes. Blake Stevenson, however, gets double the slipstream. They're side by side, Blake and ABK, into turn 11. This will turn into the inside for Blake, outside for ABK. It'll tighten up big time, and that doesn't let ABK loses the place. Apollo Pepsi here is using those mediums to great effect, actually, the Alpine. He is up into P3, and he could well be on course for what would be an amazing motive. Grid Jokes is side by side with the Zico into the final sector. A Zico gets run out of room. DRS has been enabled, and Blake is going to get past him as well. So Blake and Grid Jokes moving at roughly the same rate. Hasn't really affected how they're going to do this, but it'll be a long old drag here for Grid Jokes and Blake. They'll be together, but they don't have anyone else to share their torture with as for now. As ABK lets Silver Arrow through, probably in a bid to not mess him up. Sneaky here, holding up a lot of people. Holding up nearly everybody, actually. Garando gets overtaken. Or, no, he doesn't. Pascal is on the outside. That's Garando. Through goes Garando on the backstretch. And he's going to get the toe from Sneaky. That's Formula Cringe and Zico. Side by side, Formula Cringe is on the brakes. He's beautifully done there. You're going to have significantly more tire grip on the outside. More traction, more everything. That is a simple, straightforward overtake. No really need to stretch that out. Zico doesn't have a lot of anything. And Silver Arrow would be wise to get rid of him. YouTuber here is under heavy pressure from Dorshui, who is going to get up into P4, but combined defending. No, he hasn't defended that at all, actually. He's going to try hoping. He's going to hope to get a toe into turn 1. How possible is that? And it isn't particularly heavy. Into turn 1, that doesn't seem to be likely. Blake gets past Grid Jokes, but Formula Cringe is going to catch up really, really quickly to these guys. And so will Silver, so it could be a 4-way fight for P6, and there will be loads of penalties in post-race for that collision at turn 17. It will be chaotic. It will be crazy. And here we go. Formula Cringe sets a purple first sector. He is on it here. He is on it. And we see, will he close up? Grid Jokes doesn't get behind Blake. He's about 4 times behind onto the backstretch. Formula Cringe is here, Grid Jokes. It is time for you to speed the fuck up or risk losing places. And Apollo Pepsi is dropping a little bit behind these two. Crush is staying with Ekam. Dorshui and Combined. Dorshui's not going to get that done. But he's got a bit of a twitch. Is that going to let Combined through? No. The Formula Cringe is right here, Grid Jokes. He is right here. It's time. He sets fastest lap, then Silver gets it. So these two are pushing the maximum they can. They've got the tire advantage over some of these guys in the midfield. And Combined has been caught up. Combined has been caught. We see yellows in Sector 1. That's because Zico, I think, is one of the alphas going around. Apollo Pepsi gets Ekam. Or does he? Apollo Pepsi might have just got Ekam. An almighty level of trolling here by Ekam, but it's going to be an easy, straightforward overtake here in the backstretch. To be an easy, straightforward overtake in the final corner. And let's see, Ekam doesn't have infinite battery to dump. Neither does Apollo. Pepsi here, showing really good pace today. He's not going to get that move done just yet. Blake Stevenson, however, is sending it on Combined. He sent it up the inside. He's put Combined wide, and that's not going to be a position for Combined. He's going to lose another one to Grid Jokes. And probably this, right? Another to Formula Cringe. They're going to be 3 wide into... They might be 3 abreast going into that first hairpin. Formula Cringe fires it up the inside of Grid Jokes. He sent him out wide onto the marbles. And that's the position lost there for that's 3 places for Combined. He's dropped from 5th to 8th. And his teammates right behind him as well. And unsurprisingly, Silver is let through by his teammate. And they're 3 wide on the backstretch. Who's going to get the run here? Formula Cringe is going to get the run of his life here at Grid Jokes. They're going to be 3 wide. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to surely be chaotic. No one has somehow missed their braking. Apollo finally gets Ekam. How has no one missed their braking point for turn 11 there? Going to be counted up, but Grid Jokes is going to be under deep trouble on this backstretch. It's Pascal Sneaky side by side in a turn 11. 2 controller drivers at it, and this is going to be a clean one. Pascal Sneaky is a little wide, but here we go. Formula Cringe is going to get the run of his life on Grid Jokes, and then it'll be Blake's turn. Will we have a repeat of turn 17 a few laps earlier? No, we won't. And Formula Cringe fires it up the inside at turn 17. He gets a position. Will Formula Cringe get it? Ekam gets past Apollo Pepsi on the run into the first corner. And then he parks it on the end. That's good defending. Grid Jokes gets past Formula Cringe. And they make contact. And Grid Jokes is forced out wide onto the runoff area. And that's the place gone. That's probably another. And make that 3 places. Make that trouble, make it double, make it triple trouble for Grid Jokes. That is a twitch there for Grid Jokes. And he's spun round at turn 8. That's the end of his race. He's out of that train now. He's binned it. Properly binned it. A decent race down in the bin. Let's see. Blake on Formula Cringe and Silver Arrow, the 2 titans here, side by side. They're going side by side. He's going to turn right for Formula Cringe. That's some beautiful fighting, but it's not going to be it for Formula. It's not going to be it for Silver Arrow today. And while we're on the topic of this, let's not. Why do we not discuss Apollo Pepsi? He's having the race of his life today. He's up into 3rd. Can he get the podium he also nearly got in Saudi Arabia about a month ago? And he's gone wide, though. He's done the Bottas. And, oh, he's off. He's off. He's off. That's a successful curse. That is a successful curse. Silver finally gets Blake here. But Gridjokes has completely ended his race. Garando's going to get a point despite... is going to get some big points today despite nearly spinning, but... it isn't looking great for some of these guys. Formula Cringe, though, on the back of Blake Stevenson. It's all matter of terror. Formula Cringe, however, says absolutely no way he's going to stay behind Blake for any longer. He's thrown it out the inside his knee. He needs to get up to silver now, because the charge for P2 begins. It's the manhunt for second place. And see, Eckham gets overtaken by Silver here. So Silver Arrow, despite being taken out, having to pit twice in the first safety car, has recovered beautifully to score some big points today. Pascal and Apollo, but this is not going to be much of a fight, is it? One's on hard, others on fresh soft. It's not going to be as big of a fight here. As we have Crush running away in the lead from Dorshui and Silver. He's sneaky come in for a fastest lap run, I'm suspecting. But let's see who will get the dub today. It will be Crush probably. Dorshui's just ahead, but he's going to lose P2 to Silver. He's going to lose P2 to Silver. Or is he? He is not just now, but he is at risk of it. And it is looking increasingly likely Formula Cringe will get up there on the bottom step of the podium. As Apollo Pepsi finally gets past Pascal. On the backstretch, he's going to run away in the middle sector chicanery. And just probably get a nice P9 as a result. Let's see though. It's time for a beautiful fight here. Silver Arrow gets past Dorshui. Formula Cringe and Eckham side by side into the final hairpin. Formula Cringe nearly gets run out of room. Saves a massive twitch. I think it might just be Eckham with DRS. It is. It is Eckham, but the straight is not long enough for a significant advantage of DRS. We see Eckham is actually not that quick at the moment. He's losing a lot of time, which could promote Formula Cringe to an unlikely podium. Silver Arrow is up here in P2. Up the inside. Eckham tries to fight it, but he's going to lose out onto the marbles. And Blake Stevenson, what a move by the Haas driver. Shame it didn't go, but he had an amazing run out of turn 12. Formula Cringe now has already pulled out half a second. Half a second. And he's going to try breaking that toe big time on this backstretch. But Eckham doesn't do it. He's pushed him wide. He's pushed him onto the runoff. That's the characteristic Eckham defense, sadly. Thought he'd be clean, but he hasn't done it. He's going to lose more. Let's see, Ekam goes wide there again. It's Blake's turn now to make the move. It's time for Blake, and Ekam has a 5-second penalty that he hasn't served for ignoring yellow flags. But Blake also has penalties, so combined could get up into P4 here. And provided anyone else fucks up, an unlikely podium. Ekam on Blake. There's going to be a battle of the almighty. Who will be caught out? The pack has been whittled down with 4 laps to go. It's been whittled down to just a tiny few. Let's see, into the first section of the circuit. Combined, dropping, and dropping behind. Big time. As Ekam gets caught out over those curbs. And he's not going to have much of a run now. Blake has a battery advantage. He has a tire advantage. He has an everything advantage. As some light rain is beginning to fall here in Miami Gardens. Light rain has hit the circuit. As Blake goes wide, Ekam's not going to have much of a chance. He knows to do the better of it. Wait a little bit more. Now we can do it. And now is Blake going to get DRS? He is not. Expectedly, he's not going to get DRS. Ekam is going to fly past him. Or is it? Is it? Is it? Yes, it is. It's going to be back to position swapping. And they make contact into the final corner. A little bit of contact, but nothing too major. As light rain is beginning to fall here. It could mean an interesting ending to this Grand Prix. Who will be staying out and who will pit? We see Grid Jokes pit. Is that Inters? That is Inters on the Mercedes. Yes, it is Inters on that Merc. And same with Apollo. And same for King J. They're switching to intermediate tires. The switch is coming. For somebody just at the back of the field, a switch to Inters. And it is getting darker and darker. Grid Jokes, however, won't have a lot of advantage. It's still very light sprinkles of rain. It isn't, I don't think it's particularly enough for intermediates just yet. Dorshui drifting his way into turn 17. But it isn't enough for Inters. None of these guys are in. Sneaky gets another time penalty, but that will not be relevant as he's down at the back of the field. The ABK Ezekiel Garando in the race of his life here in P10 and Grid Jokes. Is he any faster? Is that Merc any quicker than the people still out on slick tires? DRS has not been disabled just yet, so it could take a long time for rain to hit. And if this game was realistic, it would absolutely be lashing it down, considering in which part of the world we are. Ekam is going to get Dorshui. Combined is going to get Blake. It's going to be a straightforward one. Or is it? I don't think it is that simple, actually. Ekam is back up into the podium places. Combined to Blake is side by side. Blake holds it down the outside. And combined, ooh, and Sneaky's out. Sneaky's out. People are starting to go wide. Grid Jokes has got past Garando conditions are worsening bit by bit, but it won't probably be more than P9 for Grid Jokes. That's the sad truth about it. It won't be more than P9. And the lack of grip on this Miami circuit right now is absolutely shocking to see. DRS is still enabled, and Combined YouTuber is going to send it down the inside. This time, he's gone wide, however, and that's going to allow Blake to just fire it out off the corner. He's made the move. Combined holds it in. Blake is coming in for Inters. He hasn't got the pit limiter. It will be an interesting last 2 laps of the Miami Grand Prix. Here the field is now separated by Combined YouTuber. Is going to lose the podium. He's going to lose, and all light is going to lose the top 5 here. And provided conditions get worse, could Blake be coming back for the comeback of his life? He doesn't have enough time for it. And oh, Formula Cringe! What a move! What a send, dude! That is not the part of the. That is not a part of the circuit. You want to be making dive bombs. And who can win this Grand Prix? Silverac crush leads on old hards, and DRS has been disabled as the circuit is soaked wet. These guys are on slicks on a circuit that is currently soaked wet. And Grid Jokes is back up into P8. How much throttle Grid Jokes is on here? Nearly on full throttle, but Zico needs so much time to get on power. Apollo Pepsi gets past Pascal. As we see, DRS has been disabled, but it's a biggie. They've still got half a lap in these slippery conditions and these wet conditions, and a lot of these guys are on slick tires. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they're on slicks, and they're risking it big time. Garando on mediums, Apollo Pepsi on intermediates, and Pascal, the man here, doing a long stint on hards. And he's out for 20 laps. As Crush, it's another dominant drive from the back of. They're being disqualified in qualifying. It's another dominant drive for the Mercedes driver. One of those drivers spun out. But one of them also won the Miami Grand Prix from the back of the grid. Silver Arrow gets P2, and it will be P3 for Eckham on the road after. But it will not be P3. It will be Dorshoey up on the bottom step of the podium, and Formula Cringe is going to get it as well. See Blake, P7. Grid Jokes, P8. Zico, P9. ABK, P10. Apollo Pepsi. What could have been is a podium. He hasn't got that. Garando, P12. King Jane, P13. Pascal on a marathon of the hards in his return. P13, actually. And Pat Jooms in the Alpha. Garando left the session. Okay. That's interesting. And the Miami Grand Prix is done and dusted. Crush takes a dominant win from Silver Arrow, making a solid recovery. Dorshui, Formula Cringe, Ekim, Combined YouTuber in P6. Blake Stevens and Grid Jokes recovering after spinning around in the dry part of the race. He's recovered nicely to get PA. Ezekiel, ABK, Apollo Pepsi down in 11th after a promising outing goes wrong. Pascal, King Day, Pabdunes, and Garando, the last of the finishers, and Sneaky, the last driver in this race, and he was the only non-finisher. So and we will see you next week for the San Marino Grand Prix. Until then, enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye.